this podcast, we will be looking at storytellers, stories, and the reasons that oral storytelling is important in our world today. You would think with all the technology we have available that stories do not have a place anymore, but they are needed more than ever. For in storytelling is where we find truth, we find reality, and we find the heart of what it is to be human. Welcome to the heart of storytelling. My name is Alyssa Curtain, and let's go on an adventure.
Welcome to this week's episode. This week I speak with Lucia Luckett-Kelly, who is in the United States. It is a really great interview that explores humour. She's got a great sense of humour, but also she's got some really wonderful wisdom to share, particularly about doing large groups of storytelling and also online, working in the online spaces and making that transition and making sure that you feel great when you do so. I hope you enjoy this interview. Welcome to this week's podcast. This week we're speaking with Lucia Luckett-Kelly, who is in Illinois in the US. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
So tell me about your storytelling journey. I'd love to hear about where you started and where you are now.
Well, let's see. I really like to interrelate my storytelling with my drama because I've always wanted to be an actress. And as a little girl, I used to watch Romper Room. It was a little program that they had for children every morning. A teacher would have a classroom and she would invite the viewers, TV viewers, as her students. I believe she had a few students in her classroom, but otherwise she included, so she had this mirror, and yet she had some kind of phrase or saying and to welcome. And I used to get very upset because she wouldn't say my name. My name is unique. So it's like, why didn't she say Lucia? But anyway, I enjoyed her enthusiasm and what she did. And so later on, I decided that I would imitate this lady in my home, in my room. And eventually I had started taking a drama class in public school, and I fell in love with it. And since then I have been teaching. I had taught drama, I should say that, because I'm retired now. I had taught drama to little people, to elementary kids and whatnot. And so I've taught. I even played with kids in the neighborhood. Let's say I started out with that, and then started having the interest of going to schools and doing it, and then getting into creative dramatics. And then someone said to me, because I used to use my hands a lot when I talk, you should be a storyteller. And I'm like, a what? A storyteller? What is she talking about? And yet, when I think about it, a lot of people in my family always was telling stories. Didn't realize that. You listen because you're young, you're told to sit and listen. And all of a sudden, I guess I started playing around with the idea. And I started doing it at libraries and then the church. And then eventually it branched out to different places. So I thought, I like this. And as I said, I interrelated it with the creative dramatics because I felt like I couldn't just sit there and just tell you a story. I had to be animated and alive when I tell my story. So the experiences started here at home. And then again, as I said, with the family and friends who just did a lot of talking. And next thing I know, I'm telling stories. And I found that people gravitated towards my type of storytelling. And as I said, I taught through different schools and after schools and summer programs. And now I am trying, and I'm getting there, to adapt it to virtual, which is something that I'm still trying to get used to. I love standing in front of people and talking and telling. And I'm talking about like 200, 300, 400, 500. I love audience. And it's just reversing that feeling more into my own home and sharing it virtually. So.
Wow. So,
That's
well, yeah. So, what's the difference, do you think, between like those big crowds and the virtual? What is the difference within you that you have to undertake?
um I believe I have to psych myself out a little bit, because when you're in front of an audience, you really get that feeling that vibration really travels to you and to them and back to from them to you. So in one way, I have to convince and how can I say? I mean, here I when I think back, uh, I did pretend that there was an audience in the room, and I'm laughing now. I'm thinking, I was practicing this already. So why why is it so frustrating for me to to do this? And I'm realizing so now I'm trying to develop a unique energy that will resonate from my heart to that audience that's viewing me. And so I think it's just the social contact being close up versus you're still close up, I'm saying, but people are not directly in front of you. So you have to figure out, because when I think about it, for instance, when I think of Sesame Street, when I used to glance at what they did, the puppets and the interaction with the famous stars that came on, and honestly, kids still can gravitate towards, depending on how the puppets and the people are talking. Children still can, So I realized, I said, that's the same thing. I just have to become more comfortable and just relax and just be myself. And then it's gonna reach out to those people who are watching me, who's listening, who's observing, who has that interest of what I am preparing to tell them. So I think it's just realizing there's a camera and there's a tool, electronic tool. So I'm getting there.
Well, it sounds, I mean, that is the world we live in, isn't it? COVID
Yes,
made that happen very, very quickly for a lot of storytellers. Was it
yes.
something that you decided to do during the COVID period, or was it something you'd already started?
Well, when the COVID period started, it wasn't funny then, but it's funny now. I was getting ready to do two assemblies. I had the contract, everything filled out, and I was ready. And someone said, "You're not going to be able to do it." And I said, "What are you talking about?" They said, "You're not going to be able to do it." I said, "Why?" They said, "Because of the COVID." I said, "COVID? What's COVID?" I don't, you know, I wasn't thinking that. I was ready to, I had bought my props and all kinds of, my ideas, worked on my ideas and rehearsed. And then I was a little disappointed, and then I was frustrated because I didn't know how exactly was I going to survive, because I was the type of person, as I said, that would go out and perform and interrelate with people in person. And then my theater organization that I had been involved with, Illinois Theater Association, at one time, a lot of my drama colleagues drew me into doing a program. We had a special webinar and they wanted me to tell stories. I'm like, me tell stories on. So eventually I got used to it. In the beginning, no. But I learned that, hey, I'm an artist. I'm a performing artist. I'm a storyteller. Can do this. I just have to work at it.
So, do you have some like techniques and things that you do when you're working in the virtual space?
um, yes and no. Um, I you might say I surround myself with some artifacts that sort of make me comfortable. I have stuffed animals. I'm a stuffed animal fanatic. I've been like that for years. And I just started cleaning up and I could not believe how much I had collected. And I'm talking about dogs, cats, foxes. So I put these things around that give me more of that feeling of yeah, I can tell a story. Yes, I can do this. So I'm putting things around me to just make me comfortable, relax, you know. So,
That's a good tip though, really, because it's like they're your audience and then you're telling
yes,
the stuffed toys that you're
yes,
rather than a
yes,
wall or, a kitchen bench or something. Like I
yes,
like that
yes,
idea. I think that's a good idea.
yes. So,
Yeah.
and I wanted to tell you that at one time I did a variety of types of storytelling.
Mm.
I had the opportunity to tell it at a smorgasbord, a restaurant. That was a worse
Wow.
experience because the lady spelled my name wrong when she had a billboard. And then on top of it, people were there to eat. They didn't want to hear a story. They were just chomping away, and ignoring me. I've done it outside uh, since I live in Evanston, Illinois, even though people say we should say Chicago, but it's a suburb of Chicago. And there was a program called YEA, which is Artists, Young Evanston Artists. And I told in an area, and as I was telling, a fire truck comes by. And I wasn't prepared for this. I just sort of paused and then I went on. So that was very frustrating because I wasn't used to doing something outside with a lot of noise. And so that was another experience. And then I was trying to think of the other crazy thing that happened to me that I learned when I was telling story. I've had it one time when I was traveling to Northbrook and there was a birthday party and they wanted me to dress up as Minnie Mouse. So I got this little outfit and did my nose and got these ears. And I was driving on the expressway, getting ready to go to this birthday party. And people were just staring at me. And of course, when I got there, I did the stories, but I wasn't comfortable being Minnie Mouse telling a story? Are you kidding? No, I didn't want to. And then another time, a lady wanted me to dress up as a mermaid and tell
Mm.
stories. And I
Mm.
said, no, I am not dressed looking like I can't think of that character right now for the Little Mermaid.
Ariel. Ariel.
Ariel. I was
Yeah.
not going to dress up like Ariel, no. So I really made up my mind later on that I was going to tell stories from the heart. That's me. Not try to become some other kind. I mean, if I want to be a character, that's a different twist
Mm.
where I might put something on and then become that. But to be a cartoon type character, no, I didn't.
Mm.
I really didn't want to do that. And then birthday part. One lady one time wanted me to serve cake after I had told a story, and I was like, "Wait a minute, I'm a storyteller. Why would I be serving cake after I'm finished telling this?" So I had all these unusual incidents telling, I was willing to just do all kinds in the beginning. In the beginning. Now I'd
Yeah.
rather do it more as a professional character. Oh, one more. I'm sorry. One more story.
Keep going.
Okay. Um, okay, like I said, I was outside, but this time I was somewhere else where it was like winter time. Supposedly they had a heated tent and I had layers on and I had a costume. When I say costume, an outfit that someone had made for me that I usually use sometimes as a storyteller. And Santa Claus was on the same day I was. I had a billboard with my name and everything. I was animated, I was excited. And as soon as they announced that Santa Claus was there, no one showed up for me. I was so disappointed. And then I realized you do not compete with Santa Claus. You never compete with Santa Claus because forget it. I could be the most famous person. It didn't matter because if Santa Claus was going to be there, that's who they were going to go to. The only person that showed up was one of my parents that I taught their two daughters, and he and his wife and the girls showed up.
Mm.
I was so upset I was crying when I was driving home. I really was. I was so hurt. But I learned you don't compete with Santa Claus. I don't care who you are. So that was an experience I mean, when I hear that Santa Claus is going to be there, I was like, wait a minute. Am I going to be first? Or will Santa Claus leave and then I come in? Because I am not never ever going to try to be on the same day with Santa Claus. That was really, I mean, and like I said, I cried and I was hurt. So I learned in and out through all these different experiences, I've had some people who only 5 people showed up versus 20 or 30. And that's another thing, getting used to when you really like an audience, getting used to just telling it to 5 people. It's it's I've learned a variety of things. I've been disappointed, but then I've chalked it up, as they say, chalked it up, or
Yeah.
figure out and say, okay, next time I'm gonna do it this way. I'm gonna do it that way. Or if there's 5 people, go for it.
Mm.
So it's just interesting. And I wanna, like I said, I would like to um do more eventually, because I feel that, yes, I was talking to a librarian who said she feels that storytelling is sort of dying a little bit. People are not
Mm.
into it as much as they should
Mm.
be.
Why do you think that is?
Well, most people might say it's your iPhone, your iPad, but I say it hasn't been reintroduced. I think each time when things change, we need to reintroduce it.
Mm.
We need to bring it. It's like enticing. It's like having appetizers. Try my appetizer. Do you like the
Mm.
way this cheese tastes? Do you like the way this? Try this apple one. It's delicious. I think we have to go back out. I mean, even though it seemed like it's not really dying, I think just some people are not really into it. Like the librarian was even saying that children are not familiar with some basic stories.
Mm. They're
And
not.
I'm like, what?
Mm.
What? Really?
Mm. Mm.
So I really, that's why I'm saying that I feel it should, I don't want to put this down. I don't want to put the iPad, the iPhone, and all that down, because basically this is a new era that
Mm.
we're trying to establish for storytelling. So I really feel that you have to find a way to convince other people, libraries, bookstores, even in the park,
Mm.
try to tell stories, and then try to re-entice or teach new people, because I
Mm.
don't know, I don't understand it either.
Mm.
But it's it's sad, because
Mm.
in one way, when I was coming up, no, really, people in school did not tell stories. They read books.
Mm.
And the story, as I said, the storytellers were friends and family in the household. And it was the kind where, not that you really wanted to hear it, you had no choice, because some of them were very loud. I mean, loud. So you knew when cousin so and so popped up, here comes the story. Whether sometimes it's the same old story that you heard over and over again, but it was a way of socializing with your family, and enjoying it and laughing and crying, at
Mm.
times it just got to you, and it brought up even your ancestors that you might not have known
Mm.
until they open your eyes and ears to, like, don't you remember grandpa so and so? I had an uncle who recently, before he died, was naming all these people, and I'm like, Uncle Jack, what are you talking about? But he was sharing these people. And I was
Mm.
trying my best to remember. I was young. But again, it was something that, he was trying not to make me feel as if it was dying, because he wanted me to know. And I think that's what we need to do with kids, even if we're in competition with whatever's out there. It
Mm.
still is something important for people in general. I don't want to say kids, I say people in general as well. We need that warmth and that understanding of stories. I miss those people. A lot of those people now are gone. So I don't have that anymore, coming in and talking. And then a lot of people tell me I do a lot of talking. I had a friend I grew up with, she's like, "You like to talk." Yes, I do. I can't help it. Of course I like to talk,
Well, if you're
so
not telling the stories, who's telling the
who
story?
else is telling a story? Yes, yes. But now, you were saying to me, I do like, there is a story I like to share for a few minutes, if that's okay with you.
Of course.
Excuse me. It's by Virginia Hamilton. It's called Big Wolf and Little Daughter. And I start out with once upon a time, there was a little girl that lived with her papa. Now they lived in the woods, and Papa always, always warned her to never, ever to go into the woods. And being a obedient little girl, she said, so one day, Papa had to go take care of business into town, and he left little daughter all alone. And so this is like somewhere in the South, very warm. You might say 90 degrees, hot but warm. And she was a obedient little girl for sure. She loved to clean the house, wash the dishes, but she did all of that and she wasn't feeling too happy. So she thought maybe she could go outside and get some air. So she opened up her door and she stepped out. And all of a sudden she saw the sun shining and the wind started blowing. Ah, ooh, that wind felt so good. And then she had an idea. Why don't she go pick some flowers for her papa? But there weren't no flowers around where she was. But you see, she wasn't too far from the woods. And her papa told her, beware of going into the woods. But little girls, they listen and then they don't listen. So she opened up the gate and she stepped out and she started walking and walking into the woods. And then she spotted a squirrel. And then she spotted this beautiful flower. She went over and she reached out, she plucked. It smelled so good. And she picked another one. So good. Oh! And when she looked up, she was startled. She saw this huge creature. Why, he had two pointed ears, a long nose, sharp teeth, and he said, such a pretty little girl. Why don't you sing that sweetest, goodest song for me? Now, little darling didn't realize it was a wolf. She just thought it was so strange first, and she loved to sing. So she would say, Trey blah, Quackimo. She looked around and he was gone. So she's just skipping around, la 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 la. Woo! And there he was again. Such a pretty little girl. Why don't you sing that sweetest, goodest song again? Trey Black, Quackimo. Looked around again. Where was he? She didn't know where he went. So she picked a few more flowers, spoke to all the little animals, and then it dawned on her, uh-oh, it was a wolf. Oh no, what is she gonna do? So she turned around, and there he was. You such a pretty little girl. Oh, I love the way you sing. Sing it for me again. And this time she was scared. So she put her hand over. Dream la 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 la. Dream la la no. He was gone. She figured that maybe she should scoop up her flowers and pitter-pat back home. So she pitter-pat, pitter-pat. But then you hear this pitter-pat, pitter-pat, pitter-pat. But every time she turned around, she didn't see him. So she figured she pitter-patted faster and faster and faster until finally she realized she was close to her home. But she figured that she should turn around the other way so that maybe she wouldn't run into the wolf. And so she finally got to her house with all the flowers in her hands, and she was shaking and everything. And then she reached for the gate, and she couldn't understand why this gate was so hard to open. But she kept looking the other way to make sure that the wolf wasn't going to come and get. And she finally opened. Boom. She's sweet as good as safe. And she's gone. And that's the end of the story. So that's one of my favorite stories I have told for years and years and years. And I change it off and on. And it's similar. It's an African-American folktale of a twist with Red Riding Hood and the appellation of the Gunny Wolf. And the Gunny Wolf, opposite, she gets home. And there's a different phrase or sound that is made for that situation. But I love telling, and I've done that for my YouTube channel. So it's on my, so it's different because that's another thing that I'm learning. Filming myself and knowing when to stop and do this and do that. I mean, versus someone else doing it for you. So that's another new technique that I'm developing. And I get help from a cousin of mine who is really trying to encourage me to do more of this. And so that's another, I have all the equipment. You name it, I got it. It's just using it. So if and when someone goes to YouTube, they're going to see that story as well. But then I did it and it was really interesting because I just thought it up real quick. Go out to the backyard, use your gate, use your tree, that kind of thing. So, like I said, that's one of my favorite stories. Ever since I read it.
I've got lots of questions for you.
Okay.
So what, you said there was an African American story. So where do you get most of your stories from? What is the story that you tell mostly?
I do a lot of reading. Books that I have had in the house. I have more than enough books in my house. But but I like to reinterpret stories by what I read. And so it's going to the library, and once upon a time listening to some local storytellers. There's some of them are no longer living now, but just the excitement, because as a child, when you read me a story or I watched a story on television, I just loved hearing, because I told you people come in the house and they just yada yada yada, and so I love stories. So it's basically books, and then I'm trying now to make up stories. I'm trying to adapt to figuring out how I can make up stories. When I did creative dramatics for the little kids at a park district, I used to get very frustrated because I would try to look for plays, because I was teaching children at 3 years old and up how to memorize and to portray a character. And I would get very frustrated because it did not relate. I felt it did not relate to the kids I had. So I had to twist the stories, and I had adapted to the story. For instance, I did, Princess and the Pea. And I had a lot of little girls in the class. Oh my God. Oh, they all want to be a queen. Oh my goodness. So I had to mellow it out where they were the prince, when you psych them, you're going to be a princess. Oh, a prince. And then I let them become who they wanted to be and interrelated it into a play. So it's books and stories. I remember growing up, we grew up with cartoons. and now they're bringing these cartoons back. For instance, Rocky and Bullwinkle, Underdog, of course, Bugs Bunny. So so it's just reading books and just remembering some of the stories that were told. And now I'm trying to, like I said, add a twist to it, which is interesting.
Yeah, and I love the fact that that story was Red Riding. Like I knew it was Red Riding Hood straight away, and then there's the African American influence and Appalachian, just the combination of
Yes,
many cultures coming together. I just think that's just
together.
so beautiful, to
Yes,
create something new, which is
right,
great. I really love that
right.
idea. So you said costuming and props earlier. Do you use puppets and things in your storytelling?
Would you believe I have puppets? I have lots of puppets, but then I get carried away. It's like I'm in competition with this thing here, so I don't use puppets. I could, and I might, because I'm after, like I was telling you, I just started cleaning up, and I'm going, I can't believe I got all these puppets. So who's to say if and when I go somewhere, because I'm still determined eventually I'll get back out there and tell kids, besides doing it virtually, that I gotta use these puppets. I mean, I've got puppets this big, this small. I mean, and I'm like, oh my God. So not right now. Not right now. I'm not gonna say I'm not, but for right now, I feel I'm the puppet because I like to animate it. I just love portraying,
Yeah.
and putting on a little bit of costume. I don't want to overdo it because I want them to hear it and try to visualize and enjoy
Mhm.
what they're imagining. And that's the thing, the imagination. That's something that I don't know if I'm not sure. Like I said, I haven't been in schools because right now they're still not allowing us to perform in school due
Mm.
to the COVID situation and then not knowing who you are or whatever, it's just so I'm gonna use those puppets eventually.
Yeah.
I've got to.
Yeah. I'm just thinking, is it challenging to work in schools um at the moment, or and
I think
libraries
it
even?
I think it is to a point. I'm finding that and I haven't reached out anymore because when I did, a lot of them weren't, you know, asking. And so that sort of gave me the impression they're not totally interested. Because when I look at what the libraries around here, I'm talking about around here, are doing, you don't see it. Well, the librarians do the storytelling.
Mm.
So they usually have other performers like magicians and of course people with animals, the live animals. That's something that when they can bring it there for the children to touch. So I'm not sure. I don't really want to talk negatively because I haven't really been out there, but I do miss that. So I'm hoping when I'm doing something like this,
Mm.
let's put it this way, that that will give them the attention to say, oh, she's interesting, or oh, I like to talk to her,
Mm.
or wonder if she could. And that's what I did at times. And sometimes people would call me up and ask me the most. I loved it when they challenged me with unusual uh themes or whatnot. That's what I love. I never could really always tell you what I'm gonna do. I'd rather you ask me. And then I'm like, let me figure this. Ooh, that's an idea. Yeah, I could do that. That kind of thing. So I really think I was even trying to talk to someone recently, I did a program called First Night of Evanston, and that's where it was the last date of December was getting ready to move into the new year. So they had gatherings where they had storytellers, you know, uh, present. And I was trying to tell somebody new who's doing programs for the downtown area that, we used to do this, but they weren't really interested in that. So it's like, okay, back to the drawing board. How else am I going to get the attention that I would like to get as a storyteller, and reach out to kids because kids still need it. They really do. Well, not just kids. I'm sorry. Let me scratch that. Not just
Mm.
kids. People
Yeah.
need to hear the stories.
Yeah.
Put down that book, put down that phone, contact, listening,
Mm.
imagine, you know.
Mm. Following up to that, the podcast is called The Heart of Storytelling. So what do
Okay.
you think is at the heart of storytelling?
A heart of storytelling, because I, as I said, I'm a people person, and when I'm talking to you, I like it to resonate. I
Mm.
like you to get something out of what I'm saying or doing or acting as, and I think it's uh uh the warmth of feeling good,
Mm.
feeling, say for instance, when sometimes a person has a lot on their mind, but you as the storyteller, is even if you tell the story for Rapunzel, something about the way you share your story, that person might have had a bad day, but then realizes that she's talking to me. She's making me feel relaxed. She's making me feel human again, because they might have had an argument with somebody and started putting all these negative things in, but bringing something positive, this vibration of the love and the concern for, because that's what I do when I tell my story. I'm really talking to you. I'm not just blabbing, if you want to call it that. I'm really, a performing artist, as an individual, as a human being, I'm reaching out to you. I want you to relax, feel at home, and whatever you went through or going through, take a moment to put that aside and just relax, just be comfortable, and understand that I have a message, a funny message, a silly message to bring you home. Come back to being in a
Mm.
moment.
Mm. That's absolutely beautiful. And I love the way that you've described that. It really, links up really well with my philosophy around storytelling as well, which is very much a heart space. It's a hearts talking to hearts. And that
Yes,
warmth that you describe, it's so true. It's warmth for the teller, but for the recipient as well. There's this warmth in community. It's a great
right,
word, warmth. It's
right. Yes,
fabulous. Mm.
yes. Thank you. When you said that, I mean, that's what I have said for mine too,
Mm.
Uh,
Mm.
and like, there's all different types of storytellers, and everybody has a different way of sharing their story. Uh, but I've always, if you look at my pictures, I'm just into it, I
Mm.
love my animation. I can't help it. I do. I'm not trying to sound egotistical. It's just me. And that's how it was when I taught drama.
Mm.
When people came into my classes, I want them to just relax. I mean, my portal, as I call it, my portal. And I've had students where we all have these frustrating days or times with no telling what goes on. So I always used to say, you have a bad attitude, talk to it and say, look here, I'm not into you right now. Just go out, just stay outside for a while. Okay. Don't bring the attitude in. And they would crack up. And then I said, if you still have it, then sit down over here. I wasn't reprimanding them. I just figured that they needed to relax. And as soon as they relax, then you can get in. Don't put the bad stuff into what we're trying to do here. And they would. Some of them would sit there, but then most of them realized they didn't want that. They didn't want to miss, because
Mm.
most of the drama classes were about 20 to 30 minutes, which is not a long time.
Wow, that's short. Yeah.
Yes, very short. And so most of them realized, I don't know, I don't want to miss that. So
Mm.
it's just um I like I said, I just want, it's like as if I'm inviting you into my home, and I
Mm.
want you to enjoy yourself. Because if I'm feeling bad, it's not fair to you. But then if you're it's not fair to me. So we're
Mm.
not going to have this. We're going to learn to look to have a good time, even if it's 5 minutes, you know.
Mm.
That kind of thing. I mean, when I look back, that's what I encourage. And I still would encourage that if I had anybody to come home,
Mm.
come to my home. I have to
Yeah.
clean it up first, though. It's messy, but loved to, my mother was a professional caterer. So we used to have a lot of people here in this house where she entertained as well as did parties outside of the home. So that's the kind, and that's the way I was with my classrooms or areas, you know.
Mm. Yeah, wow. So it sounds like you've had quite an experience with storytelling. So do you have any really good highlights or moments where you just went, oh, that was really special moment?
Um, yes. When I did some assemblies, when I entered this school, they never did anything with Dr. Martin Luther King. And so I was like bringing it up, and they're like, okay, so then you do it. So I would gather the material again, reading material, and then I um, asked a few faculty colleagues to help me to get involved. And this is where I would perform we had pre-K, kindergarten, pre-K, kindergarten, all the way up to eighth grade. But and at times it was, again, like I said, 200 people. I loved it. Where we would perform, we did, I worked with the music teacher, I worked with so and so teacher, and we put these things together. There was one incident where I was Rosa Parks. I had an East Indian friend where he became Gandhi, and I had a childhood friend who every year he does the Martin Luther King speech for libraries. So I had that, and it was just amazing. I started out basic when I did the assemblies, but then they were expecting me to continue while I was there over 5 years. And I was telling people I'm gonna top myself. And they said, top, because they said, are you gonna do the same thing you did last year? And I'm like, no, I'm gonna do something even. So I would top myself there. That was a very interesting. I mean, that I loved it. I mean, I felt like I was in Hollywood when I did the assemblies because it it resonated, and they got into it and they loved it. Teachers, everybody, parents came. There was another time where I'm trying to think I have, like I said, I had a program with little kids, and I did a story. I'm not sure it was an Australian story, but anyway, a parent, I wanted, when we were talking about puppets, but this is what I did. She designed a sock. Uh, I'm using my hand, but she designed a sock that would go across over my arm, and she put it, and I used this as the puppet. And I had another one. She designed something else for me. I used a few props to distinguish the different types of folk tales that I told. Now I'm trying to remember them. That's been a long time, but um the ones that resonate is when I know I've gotten those audience attention. I mean, I barely hear anybody coughing, sneezing, or anything. It's just you could drop a pin and it. So it's the assemblies that I've done sometimes with the little kids, a bookstore incident where people just, I mean, even the people who were in the store buying books stopped to listen. So those kind of things, when I think back, I really, 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 really enjoyed doing, and just felt that felt that like, wow. And at that time, it's like, well, where was NBC? These are the different TV. Where was NBC, ABC, CBS? Somebody to film me, because there it was, that glow, that light shined on me. Just, I had a few people, and that was before I think people had the the
Yeah,
iPhones,
yeah.
you know.
I
So
guess
those,
that's the thing, though. The story is that moment, isn't it? And
yes,
even when you watch it back, it's not quite the same as the moment itself.
yes,
Yeah,
And sometimes
Absolutely.
I cry inside because I do miss that,
Mm.
and then when I look back on the outline of what I'm like, did I do that? Oh my God. I'm amazed at myself. And I still feel young. I'm not that old, but I still feel young, and I feel like I could just get out there and still do some things. But where am I
Great.
going to do it?
Yeah. So tell
Or
me
when
about
am I
these
going
the assemblies. Like, what sort of preparation did you do for the assemblies, and how did you engage so many people all at once?
to? The preparation again was the reading material. When when you allow me to, when you challenge me and allow me to do it my way, I'm very relaxed, and I start developing ideas. I really believe that the reason why people enjoyed doing it with me because I got along with them.
Mm.
I when I walked in each day to the school, this was a private school. Um, I greeted people. I was humble. I was sincere. You could see the integrity in me. So I
Mm.
I really believe that when I approached them, really nobody said no. When I think back, they really didn't say. I think there was some probably were mad at me that I didn't ask, but I could only do so much at so much time. So then I don't know, creatively, it just was in me that just set it out, figure it out, you know.
Mm.
And even when we involved the students afterward, I even wrote thank you notes to I mean, I'm talking about over 20 students because I just felt so appreciative
Mm.
of their involvement there and the teacher I mean it was just so I think it has something to do with just being me as the
Mm.
individual and being real, but
Mm.
because if I wasn't I don't think they would have. And plus, you know what, they told me they couldn't afford to bring anybody in. Okay, fine, then I'll do it. You know how you normally have these schools have other people to come in and perform it, but they're telling we don't have the money. Really? Yet I worked very hard. I should have been paid. But then again, I didn't think like that. This is something that I wanted to do, that I love to do, and I did it. So it's challenging me, giving me the challenge. Oh, do you think you could do so and so? And
Mm.
then not trying to tell me what to do.
Mm.
I'm hard-headed. I'm very independent. I mean, when I say tell me, I mean tell me it had to be this, it had to be no, don't. Just let me, because the creativity's in me. It's
Mm.
all around me. So let me do it my way. And then I sat down and when I went to others to get their opinion, there's like whatever you want, whatever you want. And that's how it happened. That's
Mm.
how it worked. And so now I'm like, could I do that again? Are there people out there that's willing to, because, as an artist, you don't, sometimes you just don't want too much pressure with people telling you, just
Mm.
let it go. Let it go. Just give it to me. Give me the bag. Give me the bag. Don't tell me what's in it. Let me bring it in. Okay. And then figure it out.
Yeah, and
That's
have that
me.
creative control as well. Yeah, for
Yes,
sure.
yes. Because you
So
don't know
do
what
you,
you're going to get, you know?
no, yeah, really don't. So do you have any advice for people, particularly in large groups or for the online space? Like what sort of advice for other tellers?
Well, I'm going to tell you, it's a sort of a twist compared to what you're asking me. I was thinking back. One time someone asked me to do a workshop for teachers, and I wanted to do something different, express an idea. So I decided to do it in reverse. What if you made errors? What if you made mistakes at doing your teaching? So I created, to try to tell them, don't worry. You as a teacher, they don't know. Well, nowadays it's hard because everything's online. But there was a way to be prepared that if you made errors, figure out a way to smooth it out so that you knew it was an error, but they didn't know it was an error. I think that we should, as performers, and I'm saying this to myself still, not to worry as much. You are who you are. If you make a mistake, so what? Keep going. Don't go, oh, I made a mistake. Oh, I mean, I remember hearing about that. Don't say you made a mistake, or, just go with it. Just feel as if whatever you have in mind to present it the best way you can. Okay? Because everybody is different. Not everybody's the same. We all are all artists, but we all have different ways of interweaving stories, telling stories, and have an open mind. Instead of just saying, oh no, I'd rather tell it that way. Listen to what this other storyteller is saying. Listen to what, and then sometimes the interaction that the audience is sharing. Try to absorb and accept, even if it's, and I've learned this, it's not easy for me. Even if it's negative, still take it in, because it's something that could teach you or prepare you for the next opportunity when you're involved with another story or a program or whatever. So I think as a performer, it's never the same. You think it's going to be, but it's never the same. And you're in a public environment that's on screen as well as in person. So you have to do your best to be prepared to hear and feel what is going on at that time. And I'm learning now that I really should, after the incidents, really should sit down and analyze it, just so that I can prepare myself for the next time out. I used to didn't do that. I just, okay, I'm done. But now I really try to think more about what went on, what was exciting, what was sad, why, and what could I do to get better. I think that has something to do with me getting older too. Before then I was young, like, I don't want to hear that. Now it's like, no, think about that. Because it's a lesson. We all have our lessons to be able to reach out there and talk to people.
There's some great bits of advice there. I really appreciated it. So where can people find you if they want to find out more about you and your work?
I have a YouTube channel called Phantasy Staircase Education. It's fantasy with a PH. And Instagram and Facebook.
Great. Well, I'll put all those links in the description box, and people can find you if they want to learn more about your work or watch your YouTube channel. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate your time.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you asking me. I'm now I'm up. I'm like this now. I'm ready to fly. My energy is woo, woo. I even hadn't had breakfast yet. I'm like, hey.
If you've enjoyed the podcast and would like to support me to continue the work that I'm doing, please head to buymeacoffee.com/Alyssa Curtain and make a donation or sign up for a subscription. This is a passion project, and as such, it is voluntary. So your donations make it easier for me to continue this work. Thank you for your support. Well, that's our episode for today. I hope you've enjoyed learning about storytelling and folktale, fairytale, myth, legend, or personal tales, wonder tales, all sorts of stories, and the art of storytelling, and why we really need to continue using it today. You can find more information about me at alyssacurtain.com or at Alyssa Curtain Stories on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. I hope that you can find your heart in storytelling.